Hey, Lashek here. Today I'm watching the Democratic debates, and why am I doing that? I don't know.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed?
That guy doesn't have his hand on his heart.
I'm Marianne Williamson, and that's why I'm running for president, for president.
And now, for the thousands in attendance,
For president.
millions watching around the world, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
You support Medicare for all, which would eventually take private health insurance away from more than 150 million Americans in exchange for government-sponsored health care for everyone. Congressman Delaney just referred to it as bad policy, and previously he has called the idea political suicide that will...
Right off the get-go. Like, I know these debates are supposed to be kind of provocative and you're supposed to one-up each other, but CNN is choosing to go ugly right off the get-go.
Congressman Delaney just referred to it as bad policy, and previously he has called the idea political suicide that will just get President Trump reelected. What do you say to Congressman Delaney?
You're wrong.
You know he didn't miss his mid-afternoon nap.
5 minutes away from here, John, is a country. It's called Canada. They guarantee health care to every man, woman, and child as a human right.
Honestly, I don't know why America hasn't figured this out already. Like, just do what we do. So it's getting nasty, and then Senator Warren gets in and splits these two up a little bit.
That's the American way.
Look. Thank you, Congressman. Senator Warren.
So look, let's be clear about this. We are the Democrats. We are not about trying to take away health care from anyone. That's what the Republicans are trying to do. And we should stop using Republican talking points in order to talk with each other about how to best provide that health care.
She reminds me of a teacher that would yell at me all the time.
By the way, the healthcare industry will be advertising tonight on this program.
Thank you, Senator.
Hello, CNN. Can you pull that commercial?
Senator Warren, it's your turn.
Oh, can I complete that, please?
Your time is up, 30
They will be
seconds.
advertising tonight with that talking point.
Pull it now.
And Ms. Williamson, how do you respond to the criticism from Senator Warren that you're not willing to fight for Medicare for all? You're not willing to fight for Medicare for all.
People are dying.
I don't know if Senator Warren said that about me specifically.
She did. She did. She most certainly did.
I admire very much what Senator Warren has said and what Bernie has said. And I do have concern about what the Republicans would say. And that's not just a Republican talking point. I do have concern that it will be difficult. I have concern that it will make it harder to win. And I have concern that it will make it harder to govern. Because if that's our big fight, then the Republicans will so shut us down on everything else.
Mayor Buttigieg,
it is time to stop worrying about what the Republicans will say. Look, if it's true that if we embrace a far-left agenda, they're going to say we're a bunch of crazy socialists. If we embrace a conservative agenda, you know what they're going to do? They're going to say we're a bunch of crazy socialists. So let's just stand up for the right policy, go out there and defend it.
Oh, she got shut down. Oh, she got shut down.
Medicare for all is comprehensive. It covers all health care needs for senior citizens. It will finally include dental care, hearing aids, and eyeglasses.
But you don't know.
Second of all.
You don't know that,
Second
Bernie.
of all.
We'll come to you in a second,
I do know, and I wrote the damn bill.
Yeah! Look at his face. He was not prepared for that sucker punch.
I'm the only one on the stage who actually has experience in the healthcare business, and with all due respect, I don't think my colleagues understand the business. We have the public option, which is great. The public are enough.
The hospitals will save substantial sums of money because they're not going to be spending a fortune doing billing and the other bureaucratic things that they have to do today. Second of all, maybe you did that and made money off of health care, but our job is to run a nonprofit health care system. Furthermore,
I don't think Delaney's going to be around much longer. I would like to know what happened between these two, because there's something there.
But I want to say more about
Ms. Williamson.
Okay,
Thank
I hope
you,
you'll
Ms.
come back
Williamson.
to me this time.
Go ahead. Thank you, Ms. Williamson.
Again, I think if we're going to force Americans to make these radical changes, they're not going to go along.
Yes, cut her off and switch the topic.
Thank you, Ms. Williamson. Let's turn now to the issue of gun violence.
So, again, I think if we're going to force Americans to make these radical changes, they're not going to go along. You throw your hands up, but you haven't.
I gotta see that again.
Throw your hands up, but you have.
If he was president, he'd be the funniest president ever.
So I think Democrats win when we run on real solutions, not impossible promises. When we run on things that are workable, not fairy tale economics.
You know, I don't understand why anybody goes to all the trouble of running for president of the United States just to talk about what we really can't do and shouldn't fight for.
He's probably wishing he's not there. He's probably wishing he could be anywhere else.
Let us understand Detroit was nearly destroyed because of awful trade policy, which allowed corporations to throw workers in this community out on the street as they move to low-wage countries. If anybody here thinks that corporate America gives one damn about the average American worker, you're mistaken. If they can save 5 cents by going to China, Mexico, or Vietnam, or any place else, that's exactly what they would do. As president, let me tell you what I will do. These guys line up at the federal trough. They want military contracts. They want all kinds of contracts. Well, under my administration, you ain't going to get those contracts if you throw American workers out on the street.
Thank you.
Bernie has a plan. Companies aren't going to leave because it's going to cost them too much.
Climate crisis is the existential crisis for our world. It puts every living thing on this planet at risk. I have a plan for a green industrial policy that takes advantage of the fact that we do.
What was that? Look at his face.
Puts every living thing on this planet at risk. I have a plan for a green industrial policy that takes.
Is he having a seizure?
I get a little bit tired of Democrats afraid of big ideas. Republicans are not afraid of big ideas. They could give $1 trillion in tax breaks to billionaires and profitable corporations. They could bail out the crooks on Wall Street. So please don't tell me that we cannot take on the fossil fuel industry and nothing happens unless we do that.
Preach, Bernie, preach!
My friends, there is no choice. We have got to be super aggressive if we love our children and if we want to leave them a planet that is healthy and is habitable. So I don't disagree with Tim. What that means is we got to, A, take on the fossil fuel industry. B, it means we have to transform our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energy, and a hell of a lot of good union jobs as we do that. We got to transform our transportation system, and we have to lead the world.
Thank you, Senator
this
Sanders.
is not just an American issue.
Feel the burn.
We will deal with climate if and only if we win the presidency, if and only if we beat Donald Trump. Nominate me, and you get to see the President of the United States stand next to an American war veteran and explain why he chose to pretend to be disabled when it was his chance to serve.
How dare you? Trump had bone spurs.
Look at the new NAFTA 2.0. What's the central feature? It's to help pharmaceutical companies get longer periods of exclusivity so they can charge Canadians, Americans, and Mexicans more money and make more profits. That's what trade deals have become.
I did not know that.
They have become a way for giant multinationals to change the regulatory environment so they can suck more profits out for themselves and to leave the American people behind.
That's pretty messed up.
We have to have the courage to fight back against that
Senator,
corruption.
thank you. Your estimated net worth is more than $65 million.
That's why Bernie and him don't get along. He's part of the 1%.
That would make you subject to Senator Warren's proposed wealth tax on the assets of the richest 75,000 households or so in the United States. Do you think Senator Warren's wealth tax is a fair way to fund childcare and education?
Look at her smile.
The richest 75,000 homes, households.
She knows a bomb was just dropped on that guy, and there's no coming back from it.
What we need is a political revolution that tells these billionaires and corporate America that they are Americans, they'll participate in our society, but they have got to start paying their fair share of taxes, period.
Bernie!
If voters are hearing the same message from you and President Trump on the issue of military intervention, how should they expect that you will be any different from him?
If you and Trump both comb your hair to the right, how are you not the same?
Trump is a pathological liar. I tell the truth.
Feel the burn! Ooh!
Now, Senator Klobuchar says that she would, quote, always be willing to meet with leaders to discuss policies. Is that view wrong?
Yeah, I think so. I love Amy Klobuchar, but I think she's wrong on this one. I don't think presidents of the United States meet with dictators.
They do when they have a lot in common.
We saw what just happened with President Trump. He goes to the demilitarized zone with the leader of North Korea, gives him a huge photo op, gives him global credibility because the most powerful person in the world is sitting there meeting with them, and weeks later he's lobbing more missiles. That doesn't make any sense.
You're open to keeping some service members in Afghanistan beyond your first term.
I look at it as a humanitarian issue, and with all due respect, you're looking at the condition of women. If we completely pull our troops out of there, you're going to see a humanitarian disaster that will startle and frighten every man, woman, and child in this country.
He makes a lot of sense. Like, you don't just pull up and leave. Like, you got to build an infrastructure. Like, that's ridiculous that these guys just want to go. I hate that.
We're going to have to be in Afghanistan. Look at the progress that's happened in that country. We're going to turn our backs and walk away from people that have risked their lives to help us and build a different future for Afghanistan and that part of the world?
Yeah, we just bombed your country, and we got to go. You're welcome. Nice rock. It's a nice rock. You don't need that oil, do you?
Thank you, Governor. Senator Warren, you want to make it U.S. policy that the U.S. will never use a nuclear weapon unless another country uses one first. Why should the U.S. tie its own hands with that policy?
Because Trump.
Because it makes the world safer.
Many of your opponents support a commission to study the issue of reparations for slavery. But you are calling for up to $500 billion in financial assistance. What makes you qualified to determine how much is owed in reparations?
Did you say million or billion?
Well, first of all, it's not $500 billion in financial assistance. It's $500 billion, $200 to $500 billion, payment of a debt that is owed.
$500 billion.
That is what reparations is. We need some deep truth-telling when it comes. We don't need another commission to look at evidence. I appreciate what Congressman O'Rourke has said. It is time for us to simply realize that this country will not heal. All that a country is a collection of people. People heal when there's some deep truth-telling.
She's crazy.
We need to recognize that when it comes to the economic gap between blacks and whites in America, it does come from a great injustice that has never been dealt with. That great injustice has had to do with the fact that there was 250 years of slavery, followed by another 100 years of domestic terrorism. What makes me qualified to say $200 to $500 billion? I'll tell you what makes me qualified. If you did the math of the 40 acres and a mule, given that there was 4 to 5 million slaves at the end of the Civil War, there were 4 to 5, and they were all promised 40 acres and a mule.
What are her qualifications? I don't get it.
They were all promised 40 acres and a mule for every family of 4. If you did the math.
Let's see here. 500 billion divided by, well, that's gonna go over well.
Today it would be trillions of dollars, and I believe that anything less than $100 billion is an insult.
Oh, so you're gonna take the money from white people and give it to black people, and that's gonna solve the racial problem? Okay. Mm-hmm. Do they need another congresswoman in Alaska?
And I believe that 200 to 500 billion is politically feasible today because so many Americans realize there is an injustice that continues to form a toxicity underneath the surface, an emotional turbulence that only reparations
thank you very much.
See how Bernie handles the question.
We are going to have to focus big time on rebuilding distressed communities in America, including African-American communities.
What do you say to the 73% of African Americans who are in favor of reparations? I say, who are the other 27%? That's crazy. Who doesn't want free money?
As somebody who grew up in a family that lived in a rent-controlled apartment in Brooklyn, New York, and lived paycheck to paycheck, I'm running for president not just to defeat the most dangerous president in the history of this country, a guy who's a racist and a sexist and a homophobe. I'm running to transform this country and to stand with the working class of America, which for the last 45 years has been decimated. 2 days ago, I had a remarkable experience which should tell you everything you need to know about what's going on in America. I took 15 people with diabetes from Detroit a few miles into Canada, and we bought insulin for 1/10 the price being charged by the crooks who run the pharmaceutical industry in America today.
That is ridiculous. Both my parents have diabetes. How do people survive?
But it's not just the price fixing and the corruption and the greed of the pharmaceutical industry. It's what's going on in the fossil fuel industry. It's what's going on in Wall Street. It's what's going on with the prison industrial complex. We need a mass political movement. Please go to BernieSanders.com, become one of our million volunteers. Stand up and take on the greed and corruption of the ruling class of this country. Let's create a government and an economy that works for all of us, not just the 1%.
Bernie! Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and leave a comment in the comment section. Bye. Okay, so let's start with the big Democratic election debate that's starting this evening. Who will make, this is a big question, who will make the best president from the Democrats?
It's one dice with number 6. Who is the dice? Who is the dice? I think Elizabeth Warren will be the best out of all of them. She has that, and the dice is in the middle, and it's where Warren will be seated, because I was watching where they are putting them on the round table, half moon table. And I believe she has all those values, all the guts, all the strengths that the president needs. She is so focused what she wants for the country, not for herself. She always was fighting for the people. Bernie too. And John Biden as well, but I see her as the one with the winning 6 kind of number. Dice with 6.
A dice with 6.
Yeah, when you are putting, and you want always the higher number when you are playing games.
Oh, okay.
So I think she has that dice with her. I didn't see anyone else holding the dice, but in her hand it was the dice with 6, showing the 6.
Can you ask the cards what the dice with 6 symbolizes?
It's just, right now it's a game. We don't really know how far they are going, but cut the cards. And who the sun will be shining on. Oops. Count to 3.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
And yeah, the books will show, the votes will show that she has a lot of knowledge, and she was studied. She is a professor, if I remember correctly. She has the knowledge of guiding people her way, good harvest, and she already made 1 million donors. So even if they are paying just $1, she has 1 million people who agree to pay for her. It's not have one donor with $1 million who is controlling you and telling you, you are on my leash. She has 1 million people who will pay few dollars and they can't control her. But that shows how powerful she is. And good mother leader, good empresses. Yeah. America needs now a woman who will lead them. Good. Instead of Trump empire, you guys need empresses.
Ooh,